Welcome to Nerdities. Bitches.
Good evening, friends, family, listeners. Tonight, it's time to take a step into the world beyond, and to explore the paranormal. I'm the only host of the show tonight because Vinny no-showed. He's sleeping, probably being molested by some sort of cryptid. Doesn't matter. Welcome to Tinfoil Hat Society. I am Justin, joined by our resident skeptic,
Mike. That was my skeptical voice.
Our in-between guy,
Kyle.
and I don't know where Joe sits.
I sit in a chair.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey-o.
And tonight, in time for Halloween, we're going to talk about some people's real-life paranormal experiences. And I guess we'll be the judges if we believe what they're saying is honest and true or not.
No, I guess. Like, that's the way life goes. Unless you have facts, someone tells you a story, and then you go, yeah, I believe it, or no, I don't. This is exactly what's going to happen tonight. Undeniably.
Let's get started here. The following story is titled The Little Hands.
Ooh, you fucking pervert.
No, not like that. Actually, you ever get a massage by an Asian woman? They have very tiny hands, but they're super strong.
Yeah, but they're strong.
So
Well, they've been
strong.
doing it their whole time. Like,
So fucking
since they were
strong.
kids. Like, they
Yeah,
have that, like, Wing Chun strength.
yeah, it's fucking crazy.
So this is a massage story.
No. I wish. I've never lived in a haunted house, but my mother did as a teen. Other houses on her street had strange things going on, too. A few homes away from her lived a family. One night, the daughter went to bed with a bad headache. The next day, she was dead. She'd passed away from an aneurysm. After her funeral, the family went away to get their minds off the tragedy, and the father asked my uncle, my mom's brother, to check on their pets. My mom and dad, who were dating at the time, went with him. My mother had heard there was a grand piano, and she wanted to play it. My dad was studying to be a veterinarian. And after entering the house, my uncle and my father headed to the basement to see the animals. My mother went to the piano on the ground floor. She was playing it when she felt something brush her ankles. She thought a cat must have left the basement and walked past her. She kept playing, and then she felt it again. She looked under the piano and saw nothing. When she started again, she felt hands clasp her legs tightly. She dashed to the basement door, called my uncle and father, and waited for them. Back outside, my uncle could tell my mom was rattled and asked what was wrong. She told him what had happened, and he turned white. He told her the daughter who had died used to play a game with her father, and when he played this piano, she'd crawl underneath, grab his ankles, and push his feet up and down on the pedals.
Believe it or not.
That's wild.
So, how are we feeling about that one?
I don't believe it because I have no empirical evidence. There you go. Yeah. And justifiably, neither should anyone else. It's an allegory.
I need more information.
Thank you. Are there studies support this?
No. Is there any information about the circumstances of the girl's death in this story?
And she had an aneurysm and died.
A piano fell on her head. That's the real irony.
She just had an aneurysm.
Yeah. Like people do, Kyle. It does happen.
It's not very dramatic.
No, but like as a child?
Yeah.
It's rare, but like... And you're
Okay. I have a feeling this is going to be one of the more believable ones for me.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Because, I mean, it's a pretty known thing that if you believe it at all, that spirits usually attach themselves to an object. And it would make sense that if it happened in the house, which it most likely did, right?
Yes.
That she would attach herself to something like a piano. It's like a pretty realistic thing for her to choose, if they do choose.
For someone like Michael, who believes that all we are is just energy, right?
Actually, I kind of believe all we are is a brick in the wall, but yeah, let's go with energy.
Okay. I find it hard for you to not even like lean into the certain materials can hold energy.
I love it as an idea. It's a great writing tool. But again, you've never really seen scientific data to support it. So it's like, all right, cool concept. And if you want to sell tickets on the Midway, sure, you could break some stuff out and say that it's haunted. But, like, facts, baby, facts.
I'm with Mike on this one. I need more evidence.
The Red Lady of Huntington College.
Okay, but please, can you start this next one out with Dear Penthouse Forum?
Sure. Dear Penthouse Forum, this urban legend dates back to 1910.
Changes the whole tone of it, doesn't it? You're expecting something that's never going to come. Literally and figuratively.
The 1910s. Good time.
Oh boy, that smelled.
But almost any student at Huntington College in Montgomery, Alabama, should recognize it. That's because the events that led up to it are said to have actually happened. As the story goes, in 1910, a young woman who was new to the school was known for her love of the color red. Sadly, she was also known for being strange and a loner. As the first term got underway, the young woman grew increasingly isolated. Eventually, she took her life by slashing her wrists. Her body was discovered in a red gown drenched in blood. From then on, students and faculty have been reporting sightings of a young woman dressed in all red. She's appeared all around the college's campus. The figure, dwelling in perpetual isolation, is often cited as a reminder of the importance of being kind to one's peers. I feel like it's more of a morality tale than it is like a haunting.
This is the worst scary story to tell in the dark I think we've heard yet. It didn't even have a big swing at the end. Like the door didn't come walking on its own, or nothing came through the fire place or anything. So like this one, they don't even have the name. They didn't even make up a name for this unfortunate young woman. It doesn't have enough for me.
Lady in red.
Yeah. I mean, they did have records back in 1910, right? They could have seen who committed suicide. They could have a name attached to this person.
It is weird that they don't have a name.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Also, in what situation could you ever imagine a spirit of someone who committed suicide for being isolated and unpopular coming back and just being like, I think I'm going to wander over here. I think I'm going to wander over there. You know what, today I'm going to stop by the cafeteria.
Moaning Myrtle.
Moaning Myrtle only appears in the bathroom.
Yeah, but she killed herself and she's not like super misbehaving.
Moaning Myrtle didn't kill herself.
I thought she did.
No, the basilisk killed her.
That's right, you're right.
Totally shifts the paradigm.
The next story is called The Impish Ghost. Dear Penthouse Forum.
I figured this one would go to Playboy, but okay.
My neighbor Diane and I had a playful poltergeist for years, and we called it Billy. I'd come home and find something put in a weird place, milk in a cupboard, toilet paper in the fridge, laundry detergent in the bathtub. Diane once called to ask if Billy had been around because she couldn't find a gallon of milk. We finally found it outside on her back steps, and sugar. Darn sugar. Every morning my sugar bowl was empty. When I'd had enough, I would point to Diane's home and yell, "Go see Diane." Within 5 minutes, I'd get a call from her. "Thanks a lot," she'd say. He'd gone and pulled shenanigans at her place. This occurred for the entire 2 years we lived there. No one believed us, not even our husbands. My mother thought someone was stealing from us when we were sleeping or out of the house. My sister believed something was going on, but Didn't know what. I still can't explain any of it. I can. I'm going to blame opioids.
See, I was going down a similar road, but did you think they're on opioids?
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking the homeless guy that lives in their attic is on opioids.
Then he runs between the two houses?
Mm-hmm. Because one house has ham, the other one has burger. One house has sugar, the other one has Kool-Aid.
I mean, I guess. I think they would have fucking seen someone at that point. I think...
No. I've seen a lot of stories online about people living in attics for years.
I'd like to lean more into the... Maybe there was a gas leak in the neighborhood. And, like, it was just fucking them up. And they were doing the shit. They were just so overworked and tired. You know, because that shit happens, man. There's times, like... Today, what the fuck did I almost put back in the refrigerator, but it was clearly not for the fridge? I don't fucking remember. It could have been, like, a Windex or some shit.
You know what?
Shit happens.
You know what my thinking of this is? It probably started off with, like, what Justin said, but at a certain point, those husbands heard their wives talking.
Yeah, and said, you know what?
We are gonna fuck with these women for years.
Yeah.
This is the best explanation so far.
Yeah.
This makes all the sense.
Because because it was women that came up with this idea. Shit only had to go missing like 2 or 3 times before they started coming up with reasons why it wasn't their fault. Oh, there must be some kind of spirit here. And the one night that they were like having wine together and their husbands overheard this, they looked at each other from opposite couches and they said, yep, we're going to make this a thing.
They didn't even need to talk. They didn't even move their heads. They just kind of side-eyed each other, did a slight nod at almost the exact same moment, and the plan was made.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why when the one woman said, go see Diane, the one guy texted the other guy. And then all of a sudden, you know, her sugar was out on her back porch or whatever the fuck.
Her blouse her buttons opened up randomly. Something lifted her dress out of nowhere. Ooh.
The next is titled The Eerie Attic. Dear Abby.
You're a hustler.
Dear Abby. A few years ago, I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Melbourne, Australia. They went on to recall. It was my first time living on my own. The apartment block had been built in the 1930s. I'd been there for a few months when I came home from work one day and went into the bathroom. As you do. I saw something strange, a wooden board, which had covered a hole in the ceiling that led to a small attic space. It laid fractured in 2 pieces on the ground. I examined the pieces. The board was an inch thick and would have taken Bruce Lee to break it. I thought the landlord had sent someone to work on the attic. I was frozen stiff with fear. Someone is up there for sure, I thought. I emailed pictures to the landlord asking if anyone had been there with an undertone of annoyance since he hadn't warned me. Since she hadn't warned me. Her reply read, please call me as soon as you are able to. I called and she explained that her last 2 tenants had said the same thing. She promised to replace the board and she did. A month later, I woke up one night around 4 a.m. My body was covered in goosebumps. It felt like someone was rubbing his or her hands on me. Everything was silent, but then I heard a dragging sound coming from above my bed. It was as if someone was pulling a sack of potatoes. I froze, convinced someone was up there. There's no way an animal could make that sound. After 5 minutes, I worked up the courage, turned on the light, armed myself with a cricket bat, and walked to the bathroom. That's when I saw that the new board covering the hole had been broken in 2. I felt sick. The dragging sound had stopped, but I heard something else, whispering. The sound was clear and coming from the attic. It sounded like children's voices, and I could hear one sentence repeated over and over. It's your turn. It's your turn. I switched on every light in the apartment to make things feel normal. It was 5 a.m. and dark outside. I watched TV to try to unwind. Then the fuse blew. My pet budgie Dexter, who I kept in the kitchen, usually never made a sound at night, but he started squawking like he was being strangled. I'd never heard him make those sorts of noises. He was screaming. I grabbed my car keys, ran out, sat in my car, and waited there until the sun came up. When I saw people walking their dogs, this comforted me enough to go back in. The front door was open, but I figured I might have forgotten to close it when I ran out. Went to the kitchen to check on Dexter, but he wasn't in his cage. I felt sick again. All my windows were closed, so I looked everywhere inside. When I walked to the bathroom, I heard splashing. Dexter was half drowned in the toilet. I took him out, washed him, and dried him. I was so confused. At 8 a.m., I called the landlord and gave her a watered-down version of the night. "Oh, wow, you heard the whispering, too?" she said. I stayed in the apartment for another 18 months. I heard the whispering on a few occasions, and twice the board covering the hole in the ceiling moved. Although I live elsewhere now, the landlord recently called. She said that her new tenants had begged to speak with me about some of the stuff that's been going on there. Forget it. It's their problem now. This also sounds like fucking people in the attic, like a homeless dude in the attic.
Yeah. First of all, I'm really let down that you didn't do this in the Australian accent.
I'm a bit congested.
Okay.
So the accent wasn't happening. You got Melbourne, and that was it.
Yeah. A little bit of accuracy. What was my second point? Yeah. This one really doesn't have much to it.
But fuck them for trying to drown the bird, though.
Okay, that was the other thing. The other hang-up I had. Yeah. It was a dog, right?
He had a dog. No, he had a bird.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
He only said what.
A budgie. A budgie's a bird.
Oh, okay. I figured it was a dog. So I was going to be like, why the fuck do you leave the dog in there? But it was a bird? Fuck it. Let the ghost kill it.
That's fucked up, dude.
Birds. Birds are annoying.
I think that I would brush it off if not for the bird thing. Because assuming that part of the story is true, it doesn't really make sense that, like, if they left the door open and someone would have come into their house, it's not like anybody would have been like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take that bird and drown it in the toilet. That's not a thing that happens, right? If you're going to kill a bird, you're not going to go to the bathroom and drown it in the toilet, right? You're either going to take the bird and release it out probably the kitchen window, because that's where the bird was, is in the kitchen. Or if you're going to kill the bird, you're going to kill it with something in the kitchen. You're not going to take it. You know what I mean?
I think they tried to free the bird. It was completely opposite. They tried to let the bird go, and the bird was so fucking stupid that it flew into the bathroom, tried to drink out of the toilet, slipped on the toilet seat because it put its little stupid claws on there, slipped in, and got so wet it couldn't fly itself out. And it was just flapping around in there until Daddy came home.
It's kind of fucked.
I mean, am I wrong? Is that not a possibility?
Well, it's possible, but, like, that's crimson.
I think.
Next up, the Phantom Patient. My partner and I were working in a rural community at 3 a.m., and it was pitch dark and completely quiet. We were both dozing. I was in the driver's seat. She was in the passenger seat. I woke up to a muffled voice, but I thought my partner was talking. I told her I was trying to sleep and closed my eyes. I distinctly heard a male voice say, "Oh my God, am I dying?" Followed by a few seconds of heavy breathing. My partner and I sat up straight and looked back into the patient compartment where it sounded like the voice had come from. Things were quiet for a couple of seconds, then we heard the click of an oxygen bottle regulator and a hiss as if it was leaking. Turned on the lights and we ran out of the rig. I thought a transient might have climbed in while we were asleep, so we opened the rear door. No one was there. I checked the oxygen bottles, neither was opened. We didn't sleep much after that. I just think that's like some,
That's some sleep paralysis shit.
Yeah.
Did they both hear it, or did he hear it?
Both.
Okay, that's a bit odd.
Yeah. Next one is called The Boy with No Eyes. One night when I was 10, I was woken up by my bedroom door opening, followed by someone sitting on my bed. I felt my leg grazed and the bed sank under a person's weight. It's just Mom, I thought, and I opened my eyes. It was not my mom. I found an eyeless boy. He had black, empty sockets, about my age, sitting at the foot of my bed. He extended his hand, and in it was a little box. I was startled, but reached out. He pulled back. I reached again and said, "Give it." Then I blinked, and when I reopened my eyes, he was gone, but I could still see the imprint where he'd sat on my bed. Fast forward 5 years, my girlfriend came over to do homework. After she finished, she took a nap while she waited for her parents. When they arrived, I tried waking her up. She opened her eyes suddenly, looking up at the corner where the wall met the ceiling. She pointed there and went back to sleep. I shook her again. She came to full consciousness, and I explained what she'd done. She looked haunted. Up on the wall, I saw a little boy with no eyes. He was there, in a Spider-Man pose, staring at me. I freaked out and told her my story about the same kid. Fast forward another 5 years. I was with the same girlfriend, and we had a 2-year-old. We were living in my parents' house in my old room. My daughter started waking up at the same time every night, and she'd talk. After a while, I noticed she had almost the same conversation every night. I playfully asked her once whom she was talking to. She said, "It's a little boy. He's nice. He's lost and looking for his mommy." My daughter's nightly conversations continued until we got our own place later that year.
That's a generational trauma. That was nice.
I mean, I can feel that. If the little boy's spirit was haunting the house. I mean, it's got a bit more, like, recurrence to it for sure.
Weird that it came in 5-year increments, but I feel like it's one of the more relatable stories, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Why eyeless? That's my question.
Maybe he was a blind kid.
Wait, they take your eyes if you're a ghost?
That's fucked up.
Who?
That's cool.
Who's breathing really heavy?
Joe Gandolfini over there. He's right next to his mic.
Joe, is that you?
I'm breathing heavy?
So, it sounded like heavy fucking breathing.
Oh.
I don't fucking hear it now.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I was doing that.
The Lost Colony of Roanoke. Roanoke Colony was one of the first European settlements in the United States, located on an island off the coast of what is now the state of North Carolina. The colony was established in 1587 under the auspices of the first Queen Elizabeth. Soon after, the colony's leader John White returned to England, where the settlers came from. His trip was meant to be brief. He was only meant to grab supplies and return to the New World, but political upheaval, in the form of England's war with Spain, prevented White from returning until 1590. It was only 3 years, but a lot had changed when John White returned. In fact, the entire colony, consisting at the time of 115 people, including a newborn baby by the name of Virginia Dare, was gone, just up and vanished. All that was left was a post onto which the word Croatoan had been carved. Croatoan referred to the name of a native tribe that had been on good terms with the settlers. So White thought the colonists had moved to Croatoan Island, now known as Hatteras, North Carolina. But they had not. It remains one of the most famous disappearances that no one can explain. What's more, there's never been any evidence to suggest the colony was massacred. Many believe that baby Virginia grew into a beautiful young woman, one who eventually fell into a doomed love affair with a native warrior by the name of Okisko. To this day, she haunts the woods in search of her man, often in the form of a white deer, one that always vanishes at dawn. So, bit of a historical ghost story there.
Now, I've heard conflicting stories about the Roanoke colony. I've heard current research actually explains that they did go to a local, like they were taken in by a local native tribe.
Well, the tribe was just like, new phone, who dis?
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Maybe they didn't want what's-his-white ass to come back. Maybe they thought he was doing a bad job.
Yeah,
when he showed up again, they were like, John, now we're not here.
He fucking abandoned us for 3 years, fuck him.
Yo, the native tribe acted like the sister that the abused girlfriend goes to.
Yeah.
This English fucker shows up, like, hey, where are my people? Come on, let me in. You gotta let me in. These are my fucking people. This is the Northeast.
Fucking
this
fear?
is like Maine, so he has that accent. You know he did. I gotta have my fucking family back. You can't take all my fucking people away from me. And they were like, you get the fuck out of here, alright? She's not here. So what happened?
I'm up for that explanation.
Mm-hmm.
It's now time for some Justin ghost stories.
Dun, dun, dun.
There happens to be the spirit of Ashley's grandmother, who likes to hang out in this house. I had seen her, I've seen her a few times, leaning over my wife at night when we're sleeping. But, like, I'll be awake. I, like, roll over like I do to get comfy. And she's just, and looks up. Just, like, nods in approval, I guess. And then she vanishes. You can hear her walking around upstairs sometimes. Because there's an item up there that she was very fond of that was in her possession upon her death.
I don't want to make jokes and anger her while you guys still live in the house.
Yeah.
The object ones, yeah, those definitely hold water. My buddy's dad was excavating like an old church and found these like Indian artifacts and brought them home. And while they were in that house, we heard the craziest shit in that house.
Right.
Yeah.
Second ghost story. Back in the day, when I was engaged to my first wife, she had worked at a Rite Aid in Forked River that used to be a hotel way back when. And the owner of the hotel had a daughter who was a bit touched. Her name was Josephine. Her story is in like Ghosts of New Jersey and Weird New Jersey and stuff. And Josephine was said to haunt the property that was torn down and rebuilt as the Rite Aid. Josephine still haunted the Rite Aid. 2 Josephine stories. One day, I'm helping work there for the holiday season. So, like, I'm in the stock room, loading up a skid of Christmas candy, and I hear the door to the back open, and I peek over, and the door wasn't open, and I hear someone shuffling along, like, the hallway, and I look down there, and I don't hear anybody, and, you know, me, I'm a believer, so I pull out my phone, and I pull up the recorder, and I go, is anybody back here with me? And I let it record for a few seconds, and I stop it, and I play it back. And when I play it back, you can hear a voice go, hello.
So did you save this?
I do. I don't know if I have that phone, but I do have the EVP somewhere on a hard drive. So that launched us into getting a couple of the employees to stay late one night and do an investigation.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to say seance.
No.
Asking for it.
I know better than that. Well, you'd think I'd know better than that. Mm-hmm. So we're investigating, taking some EVPs, and me being me, decide to talk shit, right? So as we're leaving...
I don't like this story.
As we're leaving, I'm talking shit. And like, whatever. So, we lock up, we leave, we drive home, and I'm going to get in the shower, and the ex is in the bathroom with me, and I take off my shirt, and she goes, holy shit. And across my back were, 3 really long scratch marks. Like, I was bleeding.
It's like, how'd you not feel that?
I didn't feel it at the time. It was only until I take my shirt off, and I was like, I had asked her, I was like, is there something on my back? Like, because if it was like on fire, and sure enough, those are my ghostly encounters. I've seen our grandparents at Kyle's parents' house.
I got some ghost stories that are pretty freaking crazy.
Yay, Joe.
So I'll talk about my aunt one. My aunt has the sixth sense. She's been seeing
shit.
Yeah, I was going to say she's been seeing things basically her whole life. The night my grandfather died, in a completely different house, he visited her and said everything will be okay, take care of Mom. And then the next day, she got the phone call. Craziest story my aunt ever told me was when they were younger. They used to live up in like Warren County, which is like northwest Jabib, New Jersey, like the middle of fucking nowhere. There was this kid who mysteriously died in their class, and her and her friend actually had a seance where they discovered the body. And they're calling spirits. And my aunt says he appeared and started chasing them. And as soon as they got to the railroad tracks, he stopped. And then they found out he was hit by a train. So he couldn't pass the railroad tracks.
Oh, I thought he was too poor to go to the other side.
So my story, though,
it's okay. You can laugh. All right.
The story that happened to me, though, have any of you guys ever been to the Civil War cemetery that's behind the Sunoco in Waretown? That that sentence just makes me laugh. It's literally in the middle of the woods. You have to go through this path, and then it opens up this clearing, and there's this really, really old ass cemetery.
Hang on. Behind the Sunoco on the bay side?
Yes, on the
because the Sunoco's on like a peninsula.
Yeah. Yes, if you take the bay side and go a little bit past the Sunoco, there's like a path in the woods. You go down that path, and there's a cemetery back there. And this was about 1-2 o'clock in the morning. We were with a friend of ours whose father was the chief of police, so we know we weren't going to get hassled by anybody. As soon as you walk up to this, you could actually see the plane where you cross over into the cemetery, and there's a good 10-degree difference. It is noticeably cold there. And then when you're standing there, I swear I heard drums, marching drums at 1-2 in the morning. That was the freakiest thing. And then actually, there was also this cemetery in Barnegat. I have pictures of this. My friend said he described this little girl.
Was it the one back by the high school, or the big one by St. Mary's?
Downtown Barnegat, off East Bay Avenue. That old cemetery right before you reach the bridge to go over to the bay.
Oh,
yeah, that one. So he's describing this little girl, and she's her neck's broken. She's right here. I'm taking pictures. You see little orbs in the picture, and we're over by this grave, and we didn't know that the grave was a little girl. And we come to find out she fell down the stairs back in the late 1800s. The orb pictures are freaky though, because you see his hand stretched out, and where everything is orb. I still have that picture somewhere.
The night Vin passed away, he came to me in a dream. We were just sitting bullshitting, so we hadn't talked in a while. And in it, I remember my phone rang, and it was Veronica, and she's like, "Hey, are you going to come home?" She's like, "Yeah, I come home." I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I'm hanging with Vin." I'm like, "Do you care if he comes along?" And she's like, "No." She's like, "You just got to come home." So I hang up the phone. I'm like, hey man, she wants us, to come back to the house. And he goes, dude, I can't. He's like, but I just want you to know, it's good hanging out with you again. I love you. And then my phone rings in the dream again, and I wake up because my cell phone's ringing. And it was his cousin Melissa calling me to tell me he passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I don't have any stories like necessarily where I saw something or like I had a dream about something, but I've had like instances where, or at least not a dream that I can remember, but I've had instances where like I felt like I was helped along. I think I've told the story about the bunk bed that almost fell on me and could have crushed me when I was a little kid. And stories like that. Like just driving in certain situations and going one way and not another way for no particular reason. And then like, accidents ending up happening in the direction that I normally would have gone, but for no good reason went a different way. The only thing, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this because I spent a couple days after this happened trying to convince myself that it didn't actually happen. So I don't know if because nothing like this has ever happened to me before. But after Grandpa passed away, in the days between when he passed away and when his services were, I was out of, and I don't remember which day in between it was. I just remember that it was in that window of time. I walked out on the front porch, and it was like I was walking down to the driveway out of my parents' front door, and for no particular reason, I turned to the left, and I saw someone sitting in one of the rocking chairs in the gazebo area of my parents' front porch. And it looked like him, like it was the shape. It was his shape, and it looked like somebody with a bald head and glasses. And when I walked over there, it was colder, but there was no one there.
They're at that house.
So I never, like, it wasn't like I walked over there and I saw him or I heard him or anything. It was literally just like I saw his shape. And I think we've talked about this before where, like, the way my eyes work, the way my eyes identify a person, it's like, for some reason, mentally, I can tell who a person is based on, like, their overall form, right? Just because of how bad my eyes are, right? And seeing the details of a person's face. So I just, like, saw it, and I, like, knew it was him. But, yeah, I don't know. I just never... I don't even know if I ever talked to my parents about that, because it was such, like, a one-off thing, and nothing like that's ever happened to me again since.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen them a few times there. They looked good. Like, they looked like they did to me when I was young.
You look good. You're looking better.
Well, it was interesting because it's the first time I've seen people come in, like, a glowy form. But they had, like, this, like, goldish...
aura?
Yeah. And it was how they, how I remember them looking when I was young. When they're still, like, very much... Grandma was full of piss and vinegar.
She still dyed her hair.
Uh-huh.
And walked.
Yeah. Like, and they were walking.
Yeah. Walking upstairs.
So there's some ghost stories. A few cryptid stories, real quick. I was night fishing on a lake with my back to a wooded area. I was in a chair with a small lantern beside me with a full moon. I heard a noise and turned to my right to see what was coming out of the woods. I'm thinking it was a raccoon or a possum. I saw a humanoid that looked like it was running on all fours with its rump up in the air. Run into the water. I froze and slowly pulled my Bowie knife out from beside my left leg and had it ready to use if it came near me. This thing was a beige color in the moonlight, naked and hairless. It was moving fast and went into the water with hardly any noise. Disappeared underwater and didn't come up for air or surface. No idea what it was, and since I was catching fish, I didn't leave until the sun come up 2 or 3 hours later. Anyone have a suggestion what that was? A drunk.
Yeah, a crackhead who used to be a swimmer.
Definitely crackhead.
Yeah.
My child text me. As we were waiting for the next story, anybody ever see any weird ass creatures?
Every Tuesday.
There used to be an abandoned factory out in the middle of Savoy Road off of 72 where the train bridge is.
Yeah.
And in the tower of the factory, we saw these green eyes, and there was like 6 floors to this tower, and they would go from like the top floor, split second later, bottom floor, and they were just random spots. It was too fast to be an animal going, from the first floor to the top floor, up and down, because it would be so sporadic.
Could it be blinking lights?
No, there was no power. We've been in that tower before they tore it down. Nothing. We were stupid for going in that tower because that whole place was falling apart.
Yes. Never make good decisions when you're young,
No.
So when I was 9, we were staying with my aunt, and for only 2 nights I was fucked with by something. So I only ever saw it in the corner of my eye. I felt it crawl on me, scratch me, and latch onto me. But every time I grabbed for it or looked at it, it would suddenly be on another part of me. I thought going to my aunt, dad, and uncle would make it stop, but it didn't. For the entirety of both those nights, not the day, I was attacked over and over and over. It never left a mark, but it hurt when it would scratch. The description of the entity or creature from the corner of my eye is about the size of an average adult woman's hand. It was light, tannish yellow and looked to be skin. It had knuckle-like joints on its 5 or 6 legs. No face, mouth, or eyes, but it had a front for sure. The shape wasn't perfectly symmetrical, so yeah, I never again was fucked with. My dad remembers the 2 nights and never saw a thing. If anyone could give insight to what it is, cool. I haven't found anything on the creature in years of checking back on it. I only think about it like every couple years, but the memories are vivid.
Sounds like a momentary schizophrenic break to me.
It just sounds like a fucking spider. It's probably a spider.
It could be. It's a very elusive spider.
Hey, I've been trying to catch this motherfucker for what? An hour and a half now?
He's not so elusive you haven't got an eye on him. Apparently this thing is the silence of spiders.
Yeah. I've encountered a brown yeti during that's a Bigfoot, not a brown yeti. During a camping trip one summer in California, although it's probably the same thing.
Brown yeti.
My friend and I were camping in Strawberry Pass with our dogs for 3 days. Late at night, we heard loud footsteps and a bellowing roar. We decided to douse the fire when the dogs growled. The sounds came from across the river, and we noticed the growling stopped. The next night, we lit a fire again, and the roars returned. The dogs went berserk, and my friend and I saw a huge brown creature about 7.5 feet tall. It leapt across the river and landed on a tree, swinging around like the tree was a pole. It roared at us again and kicked at the fire, setting fire, wood, and stone flying into the river. It punched the fire pit and picked up one large stone with its black hand and threw that into the river too. It then walked away out of our sight. We changed our underwear, grabbed our chihuahua and wiener dog, packed up and left. Now, I know that yeti eyes are sensitive to fire, and that their size doesn't count for their agility level. They can move weightlessly regardless of their size and strength.
Only because the yeti didn't know how to tell them to turn the fucking music down.
Fucking kids.
This is my neighborhood. It's 1 a.m. Turn it down.
We haven't done a Bigfoot show yet, but show of hands here. Bigfoot. Yeah.
Oh,
How can you say no? Like, I understand that no one's presented, like, a corpse, or at least we haven't been told that there's been a corpse. But, like, how do you have reports of the same type of fucking creature all over the world for centuries?
Bullshit. And they're not giving the exact same description.
Well, yeah, because
variety of descriptions.
Big
hairy animal.
Depending on the geographical area, they have very distinct features. But like Yetis, Bigfoot, skunk ape, Sasquatch. I mean, these creatures have been talked about by like indigenous people to this country, not to mention like a bunch of other ancient civilizations. I can't. Go ahead.
Oh, so what you're gonna say?
I don't think that it's just a rando furry animal. I think it's a highly intelligent creature that probably doesn't exist like on our plane of existence all the time.
Oh, and the magic's in there out of nowhere.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like in this day of age, where every 90% of people have a camera in their pocket.
Joe?
Yeah, I heard him. It's going back to Ta Lo. It's going through it's going through all the reeds, the bamboo, just the right time.
Good.
And it opens up, goes through the little water tunnel, and boom, it's back in Ta Lo with Shang-Chi.
So, it's almost like rather than answer whether or not I think it's a real thing, I like my brain goes to like okay, so if it is a real thing, how to rationalize how no one has seen it before, right? Like what Joe was saying, if everyone has a camera in their pocket.
People have seen it.
Well, so here's my thing, is like, if it's real, right, and it's not a one-off creature, like it's some kind of minor family unit or groups of civilization, right? The only logical explanations to me are they like dwell underground for a majority of the time, or they are in hiding because of humans.
Could be.
Like they are hiding from us rather than just being like, a creature that just happens to be hard to find. And the plane of existence thing is a little rough for me.
That's fine. That's fair.
And by a little, I mean a fucking lot.
That's fair. But like, here's the thing, right? There's plenty of videos of people catching these things, moving around and stuff. The problem is, the moment something like this comes forward, it's automatically debunked because it looks ridiculous, because it's not something we're used to seeing. So automatically, it's not real.
Well, that's not debunking. That's dismissing.
Oh, fine.
Debunking is showing a factual basis why this isn't real.
Right. But you're throwing science on something that isn't scientifically proven yet.
What
right?
are you talking about? You're saying it's a magic creature again.
Yeah, like, what I'm saying is, we don't know what it is, right?
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is attach laws of science to something that we're not sure about. It's like the whole alien thing, right? It is foolish to think that out of the endless depths of the universe that we are the only intelligent species. Right? And I think it's pretty foolish to think that there's nothing smarter than us that couldn't have figured out a way to travel through space.
Okay, I'm with you on this one.
Right? But, like, and that's because I can sit here and go, they probably have a technology that's far beyond ours. That we couldn't understand because we're not intelligent enough to, like, break down the science of it.
I'm still trying to figure out how this can relate back to Bigfoot.
Going back to Bigfoot is, we're trying to attach knowledge we have of things we know to this thing that's an unknown variable in our world. And just being like, well, that looks like a guy in a fucking ape suit. Well, sure, it could, because maybe that's exactly what they look like, is a guy in a fucking ape suit.
Well, so, alright. Humans are Homo sapien, right? I think we've all seen, what is it, X-Men First Class, where Charles explains Homo erectus and the eradication of Homo erectus once Homo sapiens became, right, the thing?
Yeah.
So what if Bigfoot is a descendant of Homo erectus, right?
Right.
So it's not something that is just like in the world, but it is something that predates humanity. It's like some form of human-like figure that predates humanity that was forced into hiding by humans that were trying to kill them.
And through the centuries have become really good at fucking looking like they don't exist.
Right, like the masters of hide and seek.
Right.
Okay, I could understand that up until about 30 years ago. When technology has become so advanced, we can measure things, temperatures, from thousands of feet away. We can satellites alone can find every fucking thing.
Here's the hole in that though. We are constantly finding new fucking species of things all over the world, oceans, forests, rainforests. So it's like, yes, is our technology better? Sure. Can we monitor things billions of miles away? Can we check the temperature of the fucking moon from Earth? Yes, we can. But that doesn't mean we know everything. That doesn't mean that we've seen everything.
No one's saying we know or see everything. But with the technology we have at hand, we should be able to see them. Because the fact is, they couldn't survive as a species in numbers so low that we can't see them. There just couldn't be enough of them to procreate. They'd have to each live as long as a fucking Wookiee to be able to survive. But that doesn't fall in line with evolution. There's no other primate that lives that long. That's just like, oh, well, maybe this thing has broken all the laws of science.
But see, you're doing exactly what I'm talking about. You're trying to apply things that you know to something that might not be of that same nature. They could live for a very long fucking time.
So, I will sort of follow up Mike's argument. I would say, Mike, that I am more inclined to believe in something like Nessie than I am in something like Bigfoot. Not Nessie specifically, like not a creature that lives in Loch Ness, but a Nessie-like creature. I would be more inclined to believe in that because of the percentage of the ocean that's actually been mapped. Like the percentage of water on the planet that we still do not know what the fuck is going on with it, right?
There's a lot more areas of hiding.
Right. So I would be more inclined to believe in something like that, or the potential for like the city of Atlantis to actually exist, than I would be about Bigfoot. But applying that same logic, even if what is it, like 10% of the ocean has been mapped? Something like that? Even if like 10% of the ocean floor has been mapped, like that, it's even still, it's not like 100% of the land has been mapped.
No. And you're talking about dense forests, cave networks that go on for fucking thousands of miles.
I think my argument to that would be and I said it before, is that if they dwell a majority of the time underground, the areas where they're most often reported to be found are at such high elevations where the idea of like a network of tunnels is entirely possible. I'm not saying I believe that shit. I'm just saying
these are all.
And
that's how I would rationalize.
And if they've survived this long, they have to be fairly intelligent, right? So if they know one of them dies in the outside, they're probably going and getting that body and bringing it to the caves or wherever it is that they do dwell, so that there's no fucking evidence of it.
It's all just speculation. It's all just pie in the sky, maybe, coulda, wouldas.
See another.
That would be a cool horror movie. That doesn't exist as a horror movie concept, does it?
What?
A society of like big feet that descend on like the northernmost part of the United States.
They like come out of hiding every so often.
Yeah, that doesn't exist as a concept yet, does it?
I don't think so.
That'd be cool.
Well, it will now.
Yeah, because we said it.
Whoever's listening.
I'll write that script out.
One night,
I've got bullet points for like 4 other movie ideas in my phone right now.
One night I was driving home at around 2 a.m., and this tiny, tiny white creature, probably as tall as a Pringles can, though maybe a bit smaller, walked across the road in front of my car. Couldn't believe what I saw, so I called my then-boyfriend and frantically described the creature. Told me that it sounded like the Fresno Nightcrawler. And when I got home and looked it up, that is exactly what it looked like. I had never heard about them before. I do not live in California, not even close. I still have no clue what it was. Some more details about what I saw, because I hadn't thought about this in a while, but now it's coming back to me. The bottoms of its legs ended in what looked like flowy bits of ribbon, and it was almost translucent. I could almost see the road through the creature. It walked at a kind of jaunty pace, just like a person might walk. Best way to describe it is like that super steppy walk the dwarves sometimes do in Snow White, or Mickey Mouse does sometimes. I slowed my car down, but was afraid to stop it completely, and the thing disappeared as my car went through it. Honestly, it was so fucking cute that I wasn't even scared, but I was shaken up by having seen something like this. If you ever get a chance, Google the Fresno Nightcrawlers. They look like walking pairs of pants. And there's
watching a video of it now, there's something weird about them.
Yeah, right? But there's tons of videos of these things.
Oh, that's freaking Fresno.
We're gonna end our spooky story night there, and bid you adieu.
Somebody put up the theory that it's a deer standing on its hind legs trying to feed.
Weird. Doesn't look like a deer standing on its hind legs. It looks like a pair of walking pants.
It does look like a pair of walking pants.
Yeah. Or like those fucking the Muppets. You know which ones I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, Kyle, go ahead and end this.
Alright, as always, if you like what you hear, you can like us on Facebook.com/Nerdities. Follow us on Twitter @Nerdities. Email us at nerdities@gmail.com and check out nerdities.com.
While there, fuck you. Go to tpublic.com/Nerdities, buy shirts, or hoodies, or whatever. Or not, you won't. Sinful Creations by Justin.com. Same thing. Peruse. You won't buy stuff, you fucking lazy turd. Joe?
Check us out on youtube.com, youtube.com/nerdities. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to all things Nerdities. Hit that bell to also get notified when new content is coming, because if you haven't watched it already, the first season of Nerd ETs is up on YouTube. Plus, all of our great interviews that we've been doing are on YouTube. We have more coming.
A lot more.
Check out these amazing artists that we are interviewing. Also, stay tuned for our amazing Halloween special, a fantastic Christmas special. We do have the 100 greatest artists, according to Nerdities.
Musical artists.
Musical artists. We have the final installment of the Joe trilogy entitled Justice League in pre-production. Also, there's a feature film in pre-production. People out there in Nerdities land, if you want to fulfill your dream and become a producer, see your name in lights, write to us at nerdies@gmail.com because we need a budget. And we can fulfill your dream of being a producer. And we'll croon, we'll spoon, we'll talk about your business and or product.
I'll even send you some feet pics, honestly.
Yeesh. The opinions of the Nerdies crew are idiotic and poised without, but don't worry, next week's will be far more solid. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Fuck you.
Shit.
Because of the end of civilization, the Clamp Cable Network now leaves the air. We hope you have enjoyed our programming, but more importantly, we hope you have enjoyed life.